welcome to Whispers in the Wings, a theatre podcast with your hosts, Josh and Callie. Welcome to this week's Toolbox Talk. Now, for those who don't know, Josh, what is a Toolbox Talk?
Well, a Toolbox Talk is typically used during bump-in, especially here in Australia, where you all stand around the toolbox, I was doing air quotes there, and you basically sort of list the things that need to be achieved for the day. So what each department's doing and, you know, what needs to happen by the end of the day there.
Yeah, so what I'll add to that, at least in the UK, is a lot of our toolbox talks have to do with safety as well. So just making sure that everybody is aware of what's flying in, who's going to be doing what, so we don't, accidentally drop things on people.
Well, Kelly, let's leave that there because we will go into safety in an episode in the future. But what we're going to use our toolbox talk for is to expand on conversations that we've had within previous episodes. So any sort of theatre terms or slangs, acronyms, we're going to expand on that so that you guys, the audience, have a better understanding of what we've been discussing.
Josh, we have had some brilliant feedback from our listeners that not everyone knows what spiking is.
Kelly, what is your experience with spiking?
So, spiking for me is usually using different coloured pieces of tape to mark down where you might place props or pieces of furniture so that the cast know if they're bringing them on or if, say, a member of crew is bringing something on stage, they know exactly where to put it so it hits the right light and nothing that is moving around it will hit it.
Well, it's to keep it all in place every single night to make sure everything lands at the same spot. So not only can it be used for furniture and set pieces, but it can also be used for actors to, make note of where they need to stand. They might need to stand in a very tight, special spotlight from above them. So it's, they're going to be in that exact same spot every single performance.
Sure, absolutely. So in my experience in the UK, we generally use Alex tape to mark up.
Sorry, Kelly, what?
Yeah, so I know that in Australia, you guys normally use a cloth tape.
Yeah.
Something similar to gaff?
Yeah, very similar to gaff.
So you guys put something like a kind of clear tape over your cloth tape, is that right?
Yeah, it's just to secure it to the floor because obviously these spike marks are being danced on and, there's high possibility that it gets pulled up. So putting a clear tape over, which we use Roscoe, it's quite a stretchy clear tape and it doesn't damage the floor as well when you put it down and pull it up.
Right, so it doesn't take off any paint or anything?
Typically not.
Okay.
There is those rare circumstances that it does. But what it allows us to do, and especially on my experience with Come From Away, because we had so many spikes on that floor, that all you'd have to do is pull that top one up, put a new top one down, rather than if you didn't cover it, and you lost that whole spike mark altogether, you've got to get your tape measures out. You've got to find what spike mark it was. It can be quite time consuming, so it sort of saves time. But I have also had experiences with paint pens.
We don't use paint pens in the UK, or in my experience, I haven't used paint pens.
You should try it.
Look, I'd suggest nail polish. So I've worked on shows where, say, Full Monty, we had a metal grate floor. And we had a lot of chairs in the show that moved around and a lot of beer crates. So for the cast to know which scene, which beer crate went where, we would colour code the scenes.
Of course.
Nail polish has so many different colours.
Yeah.
And because it was a metal floor, we would literally paint on it. Otherwise, our Alex tape just wouldn't stay down.
Yeah, absolutely. I've had that experience not using nail polish for the colours, but with paint pens. Once we put that down, the same sort of thing. Like it can, after a few wear and tears of things moving over at people's feet and all of that, it does come off. So we would always put a clear nail polish, lacquer down to just sort of lock it into place.
Well, then I'd honestly recommend skipping the paint pen and just using the polish.
Yeah.
If you're going to put lacquer on it anyway.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. There's so many different ways of doing this and spiking things.
Yeah, so you were a little shocked when I said Alex tape, weren't you?
I am, because in my mind, that just doesn't stick to things.
Yeah, no. So I've actually had to think about it because I was shocked going over and they were just like, what, you guys don't use Alex tape? I think it's something to do with how hot Australia gets.
Oh, yeah, like the humidity, especially inside.
And so the actual adhesive on it kind of melts and goes gross everywhere. But yeah, we just use Alex tape for everything in the UK.
God,
Makes things so much easier.
I debate that, but
yeah, okay, maybe not over here.
Yeah.
Excellent. So that's kind of what spiking is.
And Kelly, there's so many ways of actually spiking different furniture and props and stuff.
Absolutely. So if you had a chair, like you had many and come from away, how would you spike a chair?
Well, two ways. I've done it two ways. We'd come from away because there is so many spikes on the stage with different chairs, and sometimes multiple chairs might be used with different spikes.
Sure.
Like the spikes, for example, would have the number of the chair, so that's typically the starting position. So, 1 through 14 was the number of the chairs we had.
Were they colour-coded per chair?
They were colour-coded per scene.
Yep.
So yellows would be this scene, but you would find some scenes would go, okay, well, in this scene, chair 5, you're actually going to be using the brown 8 instead of, because of how many times the chairs moved around the stage and stuff. But these spikes would also, so they'd have the number, and they'd also typically have the arrow, the direction that the chair would actually be in.
Sure. Okay. So are these spikes 90-degree angle or
No, so this is the thing with come from away, is they're just straight lines.
Right. Okay.
And I think that goes back to, because the chairs can be used in multiple different scenes and facing different ways, there's no one way that it's always going to be.
Sure.
But on most shows, you would corner spike it. So you would do 2 pieces of tape creating a 90-degree angle, and you'd put it on the back 2 corners.
That's how I normally spike anything kind of box-like.
Well, it's the thing. You can do it for tables, milk crates.
Absolutely. Beer crates.
Or the giant bookcase that is being used for 9 to 5. They've also got L-shaped corners, which are paint-penned, by the way.
There you go. Right. So I also have experience, which I'm sure you do too, with cross spiking. So that's literally just 2 pieces of tape that you crisscross over, so it's like an X.
Yeah.
In my experience, I haven't really used that for cast members, as you mentioned earlier.
Okay.
I've never actually had a spike on stage for a cast member.
Wow, okay.
We may use them in rehearsals just so they get the feeling of things, and we may still use it in tech until they know what's moving around them.
Yep.
But we try to have as few spike marks on stage as possible.
Yeah.
But what I have used crosses for are things like lamps, or we've also used them, anything that you want circular in the center.
Absolutely.
You try to put, say, a lamp, the circular base, on the center of the cross, which I guess you could actually just use a single line upstage of the lamp.
I was about to ask you that question, because if the base is not see-through, it's a solid base, how do you know that you're actually getting the center on?
Yeah. Fuck. I've just been schooled in spiking everyone.
Absolutely. No, 9 to 5, they've got hat stands, coat racks, those, long things with the arms out the side. You hang things on them. And because they've got a see-through, base, like they're just hollow, you can actually see where the spike is. So they're center spiked with the cross.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay, that makes sense.
So you're not wrong, but it depends, I guess, on what the circular item is.
I guess I need to go back and reevaluate my whole stage management career. Evidently should not have been hired.
And on Come From Away, we had these little mini beer bottles, little booze bottles, that sat on top of the piano, and every one of us would always have it in sort of a different position. So we just put a single dot on the piano, and we just made sure that the dot was just in front of the bottle.
Yeah.
So typically you would mark upstage, but in this case, because of where the bottles were sitting, it was easier to see, and so far away from the audience, and these dots, like you had to really look to see these dots.
So in my experience, I've also used glow tape to spike.
Glow tape.
Which, for those who don't know, glow tape is almost kind of like a very light white-green tape that when you run a torch or it has access to overhead light, it charges and it glows green.
Yeah.
So on Phantom, we had a manager's table that initially was pushed on by stage management and then was eventually automated, which was so lovely because I kept on being late for that cue or being seen.
Oh God.
Yeah.
Never want to be seen.
No, never want to be seen, especially in that show. So we would have the tiniest, the thinnest strips of glow tape that we would have on top of our LX tape on stage, to which we would use Roscoe tape in that scenario because glow tape does not stay
you
down.
need to put something over the top of it.
Yeah, and so you would be able to, in a blackout,
yes, the
audience can't necessarily see it because it's so tiny, but you can see the little green line that you need to hit to make sure it's where it needs to be.
That is what is good about glow tape. It's for blackouts. You know, if you've got the cast members setting something and they aren't spatially aware because it's literally dark.
Yeah, absolutely.
It just helps. Yeah, it helps them find that. So that's, really good. Also, glow tape is very expensive for those out there.
Yes.
So use it very lightly.
Yeah, I guess, that's one of the reasons also why you use such thin pieces.
Yeah, absolutely.
Gosh, I remember being a rookie way back, very green, and being asked to glow tape some stairs at the very edge of the stair, putting a line of glow tape. I literally put a full thick line of glow tape on every single step, stage right and left. And I learnt very quickly how expensive glow tape was and to never do that again.
Kelly, you weren't at NIDA when I was at NIDA, right? Because we had that same thing happen, not to me, but we got an email from a head of stage management. And the reason I said glow tape before is because that was the subject of the email was glow tape, and the glow had so many O's, and it was like some were capitalized, some were lowercase, basically being like, please do not use glow tape to spike things, to mark out things like that because of how expensive it was. This person used the thicker glow tape and, basically did the same thing, and lines backstage for where, casts should walk and stuff. Yeah. They used, I think, 2 rolls of glow tape.
Yeah, I think I went through one, and I'm just really glad that did not come out of my wage.
Absolutely. So, Kelly, I should mention that there's no right or wrong way to spike anything.
Sure thing. In all honesty, it's just about communicating what the spikes mean to people. If you want to use a cross for something that is circular, like apparently I do, then make sure that everybody knows what's going on and what that cross is for. If you want to use an upstage line, then that's fine as well. It's just whatever your preference is and making sure you communicate it.
Exactly. It's all about communication. Kelly, I think that brings us to the end of our first Toolbox talk.
Oh my gosh.
Should we close that Toolbox and go have a smoko?
Absolutely. Oh, I haven't heard smoko in so long, Josh.
Do you know, as a child growing up in YPT, we would use the word smoko in like our interval breaks, which looking back at it, I do question it. Anyway.
All right. Well, Josh, I don't smoke, but I love a smoko.
Nor do I. Let's go get a Kit Kat instead.
If you have any questions, please feel free to DM us on Instagram at Whispers in the Wings.
Or you can email us at whispersinthewingspodcast@gmail.com.
Or you can send us a voice message via Anchor FM.
Kelly, you have hit the nail on the head. All of that information is in the show notes.
Thanks, Josh, for an informative Toolbox talk.
No, thank you, Kelly. And thank you also to our listeners who reached out and wanted to know more about spiking, which is obviously why we wanted to talk about it in our first ever Toolbox talk.
See you next time.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Whispers in the Wings acknowledges the traditional custodians of country throughout Australia and their connections to land, sea and community. We pay our respects to elders past, present and future. We acknowledge that sovereignty was never ceded, always was, always will be Aboriginal land.
Hello and welcome to the Cheese Wheel Podcast, your new favorite podcast about hyperfixations gambled on a wheel. In this podcast, we are covering anything that we want to talk about, but the problem is we don't know what we're covering every week, and it's something new every time. And I am joined by two of my co-hosts, Andrew DeWolf.
Hello. I'm happy to be here.
And Liz Eston.
Hello. Also very happy to be here.
And this show is weekly, and every time someone else brings something to the table that's a little bent, we're going to be covering anything and everything, including Chaperone's new album, Spy Kids, and the film version of Waitress. We're going to have a new episode every Friday, and you're going to see the vast arrays of interests we might have. Andrew, what might be one of your choices?
Oh, I mean, I could pick something like, I don't know, famously bad movie, Miami Connection, and we could have a good time watching something that I love that's kind of terrible. Or I could pick something incredibly good, like Jacob's Ladder, which is my favorite movie of all time.
Incredible. And Liz, what about you?
I don't know. I could go with something like a Walk Hard, the Dewey Cox story, so I can talk about my favorite comedy, since Jess didn't let me do it on the old podcast.
Well, funny you bring that up. In case you're wondering what happened to Musicals with Cheese, we ended that show, but the show's still here and living on in season 1. So if you want to go back and listen to our backlog, that's still here. But right now, we're just the Cheese Wheel. Please keep on listening. We got a lot of fun stuff to come, and we hope that you like what we're doing.